Now let us do some formatting of the text box itself. Excuse me. Let's go ahead. Just click on the text box somewhere on the text so that you can have the text box selected. So let's start off by, what do we want to do? Let's add in our border. Now remember, I'm thinking yesterday, or excuse me, Friday, we had talked about your color schemes. Remember, you want to try to stick with 2 to 3 to 4 colors max. So let's don't forget about that. So if you need to go back and if you did the hex color codes and get your hex color codes, go ahead and do that. With this selected, you should now see these options appear. These are the 4 options that appear when you select your text box. So take a look. If I click outside of my text box, those 4 options will disappear. See how that happened? So when I click it, they reappear so that these are 4 options that are strictly for your text box. So in this case, we're going to change the color of the border. So notice when I hover over this option right here, it says border weight. Weight means kind of like the thickness of the line of the border. So if you click that, you can select 1px is like the thinnest border. You could go all the way up to 24px, which that's just a little bit ridiculous if you ask me. Oh, mine is, for some reason, it's already on dashed. Anyways, they're solid. That's a little bit ridiculous if you ask me. I typically choose like 3 or 4 because it's kind of a nice solid border. But again, it's up to you. It's your slide. Do as you see fit. So we changed the thickness or the border weight. Next up, well, if you need to, go ahead and pause me so that you can do that. And when you come back, your next step is you're going to change the color. So that is this guy right here. Notice when you hover over it, it says border color. Click that. Here you can pick a preset color, or if you are sticking with your hex color codes, you could come here and hit this plus sign. That is not a bell for you. That is the bell that is going off while I'm recording. Stay seated and keep working. So anyways, if you wanted to add in that hex color code, you could click that guy right there. And here is where you could paste your hex color code, or maybe you don't want to use a hex color code. You just want to try to find a color that is somewhat close to it. Maybe I'm going to try that maroonish type color. I'm not very good with colors. You guys will hear me say that a lot as we are going. But anyways, you can see I'm trying to like more specify my color. I'm just going to go with that one and I'm going to hit OK. And you'll see that it is now, ooh, I did pretty good. It's kind of close to the color of my name, my Maniac Mason. Okay, so if you want to, go ahead and pause me now so that you can get your color right. And then the last thing you're going to do with your border for now is if you want, instead of having a solid border, you could, again, have it selected. You could come up here to where it says border dash. And from there, you could choose one of these options. You could have it solid, dotted, dashed, dashed and dotted, longer dashes, longer dashed and dotted. Up to you. I'm going to go with dashes. And you can see that's what mine looks like. If you want to change it from solid to one of those, pause me now. Go ahead and do that. Next up, we are going to add, if you want, a fill color to your text box. So you might want to do this, especially if you have a busy background or if it's hard to read your text. This is a good reason to do this. Or sometimes people just do it because it looks cool. Up to you. Go ahead and practice it regardless, and you can change it back later if you want to. But again, we're going to go ahead and click on the text box to have it selected. And this fill bucket here, that's going to be where you choose your fill color. So once you click that, you can do a solid, which same thing, you can pick one of the preset ones, or you can customize it and drag it, get it where you want it, or you could add in your hex color code there, right there. Or, ooh, yikes, that's terrible. God, there's all kinds of dings and beeps and whatnots going on. Just ignore all those if you can even hear them. There's another bell. Or if you want to get real fancy with it, you can even do a gradient. I believe I taught you how to do a gradient on Friday. So If you want to do that, you may. I'll show you some of my preset gradients. Ooh, look, I could do the same gradient within the gradient. That looks pretty terrible. So I'm going to hit Control Z. By the way, we'll learn about this later. If you make a mistake and you don't like it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go back to how I had it, you can either hit Control Z, which is the keyboard shortcut to undo, or you can come up here and hit the undo option. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to show you, if you have a busy background, and so you're adding in a fill color, but you still, like maybe you have an image in the background and you still want to be able to see the image a little bit, you can reduce the transparency. Right now it's totally solid. You can reduce the transparency of the fill color so that you can see through that color, so you can still see the background a little bit. So in order to do that, same thing, you're going to come back up to once you choose your color, you'll go back up to the fill bucket, and you'll go to the custom right here. And here is where you can reduce the transparency. So I've got the color how I want it, and I can move this down some and hit OK. And you can see, I didn't reduce it a lot, but you can see how now you can kind of see through the color. So you can see the background. If I want to do that a little bit more, so you can make it a little more obvious, you can see it. There we go. It's a little more obvious now. Okay, so if you wanted to add in a fill color, go ahead and do that. And that's all I have for you on this slide. So go ahead, once you're done with that, go ahead and head to the next slide.